Uh, and okay, avoid legal snags by telling people they're being recorded. Did you know you're being recorded? My name is Rob, and I am joined today.
Hello, my name's Jake, and I'm a chuffster too.
Um, welcome. Yeah, welcome. This is the literal l- as we get along, but hey, we're here to talk about video games, I guess, right?
That's right. That and maybe some other stuff as well. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
This is sort of like a big experimentation for both of us. So yeah,
Um, so the usual rule of thumb I have for this show, at least I say usual as if I've been doing this for a while.
yeah,
The rule of while is each conversation we bring a topic that we want to talk about, be it news, a video game that we're currently playing, either new or old, or just some other video game crap that we might be wanting to talk about, like mechanics and whatnot. So Jake, what would you like to talk about?
couple of things. I've been playing the new Mortal Kombat 11 beta.
Oh
Yeah,
shit,
just
that's right.
that's cool.
Is it? Yeah, I haven't played Mortal Kombat since the SNES.
Yeah, yeah, that's going back a while. No,
Oh wait, no, I take it back. I played the Mortal Kombat on the 64, the one
oh,
that
Mortal Kombat
the
4, yeah, or Sub-Zero. That
the
was.
Sub Zero, that was the one.
Oh my God, that game was such a mess. But yeah, yeah. Like for anyone who's sort of like unaware, like Mortal Kombat has sort of like been making like a serious play for the competitive like pro circuit, but since number nine,
Yeah,
um, because like the games on like all the Mortal Kombat games that were released on like around the PS2 era, that would have been like 5 to 8 were all janky pieces of shit, but they were fun
yeah,
janky pieces of shit. You know, it's sort they never really took themselves too seriously. But yeah, since Mortal Kombat 9, it's like tried to reinvent itself as like a serious fighter. You know, especially since like Street Fighter 4 came, and pretty much like dominated the entire like fighting game scene for a while.
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we're at number 11 now. And so I've been having like a, a good session with it online, and and just get to know how it feels. There's no practice mode, but what's really nice is that there's a little short like arcade mode that you can play, and that's a really good place to sort of like learn how the game feels, and like how to sort of like learn the character you want to main as well. I've always been sort of okay at fighting games. Because I've been playing them since Street Fighter, and yeah, my skill levels sort of plateaued. But what was really nice was sort of like how quickly I learned to walk in Mortal Kombat 11. Like I played the absolute shit out of Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah.
Um, and like, as soon as I picked up Mortal Kombat 11, it was like it was learning to walk all over again. You know, it has a very different feel. It's got a very different pace. It's definitely more of a deliberately paced game. Whereas like Mortal Kombat X was like very twitchy. You sort of like had to make guesses um, on like as to what way your opponent was going to attack. You know, was it going to be high, low, or overhead? So there's like so many decisions that had to be made in like a split second. Um, anyway, so yeah, the Mortal the rhythm of Mortal Kombat 11 is more sort of it's a slower game, but it's also but like underneath it, like you watch a match, and it's not as like technically impressive as like say Mortal Kombat X, but there's a lot more sort of like going on under the surface as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, yeah. Like whereas like the rhythm of like Mortal Kombat X was like duh duh, it was like duh duh duh. The rhythm like Mortal Kombat 11's more sort of like duh duh duh. You know, like it sort of like fixes a lot of the issues that I had with Mortal Kombat X. You know, and like it's easier to sort of like see like overheads come in. It's easier to see like low attacks come in, and you know, so you can sort of adapт as well.
Yeah,
And
it's like a layer of strategy, basically.
exactly. Um, exactly. You know, it's more like a strategic game now. I'm like rather than like just like insanely quick reactions.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I've I've been doing okay online as well, which is a nice surprise. And like getting your head around like the various systems, like you know, like the way the systems work in MK11 as well is really nice. Is really nice. Like so, it's sort of enhance your attacks. You've got you've got you've got 2 meters which enhance your attacks, and they refill over time. It's not based on like how many times you get hit or like how many times you pull off like a special move. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and the idea of the fatal blow is that like it's a sort of like last minute do or die, so like super move. Um, but you can only use it when your health's like pretty low, and you only use it once per match. So there's a real sort of like tension to it. You can't just like throw out a super move um, willy nilly. There's got to be like there's real sort of like tactic to like when you use that super move, because if you use it in the first round, then you know like you still get you know there's still the possibility of of you having the shit kicked out of you getting the shit kicked out of yourself
Yeah.
as well.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so far, like signs are good. I'll probably pick it up on day of launch, and yeah, it's a game I'm really looking forward to sort of like getting to grips with, because I sort of like I got back into MKX like pretty recently, um, and and I got like not terrible at it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I know. I forget. I saw recently on the news, especially because I'm kind of the person who will buy almost everything on the Switch, and apparently the Switch version is supposed to be actually in pretty good shape. So, which
Mm-hmm.
is surprisingly, because like especially nowadays, most video games tend to not be like that.
Yeah, totally. I remember that, like there were 360 and PS3 versions planned of MKX, but they never came out. I think because like definitely by the time they were like in any shape, I don't think they were viable. But you know, the Switch is obviously like doing huge numbers at the moment. So yeah, it sort of like makes sense. And really, really with fighting games, you don't um as long as it runs like a good like 60 frames per second, then
Yeah.
you don't really need like too much like graphical. Like you don't really need like too much like graphical fidelity. Like you look at something like say Fighting Layer X, which looks absolutely primitive, but it's like this, it's like this stupidly fun game um, where, where you can sort of like link like practically every attack together. Um, I only played like during the beta, but I had so much fun with it. Even though it looked like
Yeah.
it looked really rough as well.
Well, I mean, the general majority of the betas are going to be just like that. And
Mm.
because I played a handful of the recent betas that came out, like I say came out, but like were released over the last year, I want to say.
Mm.
Like, what was it? I remember playing, like, the only one I could really remember off the top of my head was like the Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 beta. Actually, no, the beta for Dragon Ball Fighter Z that they did for the Switch.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I remember that being a little rough, especially considering the game was out for almost a year on the other platforms. But it was still like, actually, I had my complaints where there was no way to deal with skill levels essentially in that game, and everybody I faced essentially were monsters and destroyed me in
Mm.
every single
Yeah.
chance. And since there was no practice mode, there was no full real way until I dragged my cousin out that day. It's like, hey, can you get on so I can play? Because I can't play for the life of me, and nobody lets me get a punch in.
Yeah.
And she was
I'm
like,
gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna fight someone who won't destroy me.
I mean, she still destroyed me, but at least I was
Yeah.
learning a little more. She
Yeah.
at least gave me the chance to, press the buttons before I could do anything else.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, yeah, and also, yeah, because yeah, I'm guessing like me, like you play the Switch, like in portable mode most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, yeah, obviously, like we don't need like yeah, like the graphical fidelity, like
Yeah.
isn't going to be like so much of an issue when you sort of like playing on the sofa or on the toilet.
Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
like games like the Doom. I know
Mm,
Doom especially is literally meant to be at like 60 frames per second, and Switch when it launched, it's at 30 frames. But I know that the team that ported it over, I don't know if they did it yet. I haven't paid attention to it in a while, but they were working on getting it at 60 frames, just because
mm,
that's the the right. Well, I say the right way. It's the best feeling to play at that anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Because there are certain games that are great at 60 frames, and there are certain games at like Dark Souls Remastered. I played the beta for that one, and
Mm.
I did not. I played it on the PS4, and I did not like it at 60 frames. It didn't feel comfortable to me.
Ah, ah,
That's it was weird because like I was looking forward to it, and I played the beta for it, and I was like, this didn't feel right to me.
ah,
And that's also
that's
because
interesting. Mm,
I put like hundreds of hours into Dark Souls the original when it came out,
mm.
and that 30 frames per second felt comfortable. But I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, totally.
at
Uh,
least I say that, but I never really played the PvP aspect, so maybe the 60 frames probably would have made it at least a little more bearable without worrying
mm,
about getting backstabbed so much.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like for me, I played a lot of Left 4 Dead on the 360,
Oh
which
God.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know, right? Yeah, that was like 30 frames per second. I remember seeing it on my friend's PC, like running that full pelt, at 60 frames, and I just could, well, yeah, it just looked wrong to me because I was so used to like I was so used to the 360 version as well. Anyway, yeah, yeah. So that's what I've been playing. Anyway, that's a lovely sort of like roundabout way to say, yeah, Mortal Kombat 11. It's pretty good. I like it. Um,
That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
How about yourself?
Um,
What have you been playing?
um, I started playing Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh wow, that's a
It's
that's a
it,
blast from the past.
I actually never got around to playing it, even though like
Mm,
I love Mass Effect. I played one, two, three, and especially three.
mm.
But I think what I enjoy, and I'm the kind of guy who actually really enjoyed Mass Effect 3, probably for the wrong reasons though. I
Everyone dies. It's great.
like the story. I'm like I didn't. I was one of the people who was like, all right, whatever with the story, and even when they released the extra DLC for 3 and the story, I was like, ah, it's whatever. Like I felt a little better about it, but like the more the conversations had, the more I realized it's like it's not my game. I didn't make it. It's not my story. It's as much as
Mm.
it feels like it's my story that I made. It's like they're the ones who wrote it. It's their book
Yeah.
that they wrote, and it's like a whatchamacallit, choose your own adventure books. Like the story's there.
Yes.
You're just picking.
Exactly. Yeah. Um,
But
uh, and like I always think that was the sort of like tension that was going to happen
yeah,
with Mass Effect 3, especially especially in like when like everyone like hated the ending. Pardon me. Um, yeah, the tension with with those games is that is that yes, you've got a lot of like freedom to sort of like explore and like and play around and fuck anyone you want.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, yeah, you're still sort of like in the confines of like of like the story they've written. Um, and yeah, and like definitely like like all the choices that were sort of like meant to be meaningful. Like like the story. Yeah, there's tension between the choices that you sort of you make, and like the story that they want to tell. So yeah, it was yeah. I think it was always sort of like Mass Effect 3 was always setting itself up for disappointment there. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, how are you finding Andromeda then? Because
It's okay.
yeah.
like like the first thing I did, because the reason I enjoyed Mass Effect 3 the most was the multiplayer, and I
Mm,
played the hell out of it. Even like for some reason, like it was just a lot of fun.
mm.
So that was literally the first thing I did. And, all right, let me see
Yeah.
how the multiplayer is first. And I played a little bit of it. I'm like, all right, I still don't like the whole the jump jets, jumping around and everything, but an adjustment that I could still get into. But
Mm.
I played that for a bit, and then I went to the single player, and I remember I played the demo of the single player a while back, and I did the whole first bit of it up to the point where that you get to the first planet, the first explore anyway, and I messed around in there. But then I just continued on with the when I bought the game eventually.
Mm.
Um, it came out 2 years ago. I realized the
Yeah.
other day.
Yeah. Doesn't time fly? And it's sort of a shame because like it's like the swan song for what was once like this huge sort of like temple franchise. Like when a new Mass Effect game came out, it was a proper event, and
Yeah,
it did feel there was a bit of that for Andromeda, but I've obviously owing to like like the animations and like the general sort of like reception being a bit meh. Yeah,
yeah. And I can see that because like as I'm playing the story, it's like I don't really care for any of the characters really,
mm,
like at least nowhere near it. But that's also because like with Mass Effect, like the first like that set it up, like the first Mass Effect was set up like a generic science fiction movie,
mm,
and it had characters in there, and that it was everything was new though. It's like you had all these new aliens, you had all new stories to tell,
yes, yeah,
and Mass Effect 2, it was just building on those with the new characters that they introduced on top of the old ones. And then
hmm
3, it was just like, all right, let's finish this. Let's show where we're going to end this. But with like Andromeda, it's like everything is new character
yeah,
wise, but they're the same old. You already know all the races, basically. You know their backstories and or like the histories like the lore of the game basically, but it's in a new setting and it doesn't feel like it should be,
mm,
but at the same time it's like eh. I like that they were trying to going for it anyway. It's just like, all right, let's start a new world basically and just get on with it and try to do something new while
yeah,
also still maintaining the old games, like trying to see if we can basically start a new trilogy kind of idea. And I kind of
mm,
see that, but I also where everybody's from going with the game where they don't like how the story went.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like there's a fair amount of back. And I think backlash is probably too harsh a term, but yeah, there was definitely a feeling that like there was definitely a feeling that Andromeda was sort of like done by the B team,
Yeah,
sort of like rushed out just to sort of like keep Mass Effect fresh in everyone's minds. Um, and and yeah, similar thing happened with Dead Space 3 as well. Because like the first two, especially the second Dead Space game was like
yeah,
was such a great sort of like horror action game, and when Dead Space 3 uh, um came out, it looked like it was like going for the Gears of War audience as
yeah.
well, because Gears of,
I remember
yeah
playing the beta for that too.
Yeah.
and I was like, this isn't like I generally do not like most horror games, but like I could at least after playing like 7 and 1, but
Mm.
like I played Dead Space 1 for a bit too because I got it on PC, but that's a different conversation there.
Yeah.
But that like yeah, like even then, like I could see where everybody was coming from in the demo I
Mm.
was playing because it felt more like I was playing. I'm trying to remember that Capcom game, Lost Colony.
Lost. Yeah, Lost Planets. I think. Oh God,
Yeah, something like
I
I
have to
can't
look it
remember
up.
that,
Actually, yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's
That
how it
was.
felt like I was playing. Like I wasn't playing. I was not playing Dead Space at that point. I was playing a completely different game that was already done like 10. I would say
Mm.
10 years, but I really don't remember when. I know like I think Lost Planet or Colin, whatever it was, Lost Planet. I think it was
Yeah.
came out. Like, I think it was a launch title for the
Yeah.
360. So that was at least like 10 years,
Mm.
probably
It,
prior.
exactly. Exactly. With like for me, like with like the first or the first two like Dead Space games, they were very sort of like deliberate like de deliberately claustrophobic like yeah, horror adventures. Uh, um, and with Dead Space 3, like you were shooting against guys with guns, and it's like what,
Yeah,
and the whole point of Dead Space was that you were one man like facing hordes of horrible monsters,
and a
and
spaceship. Yeah,
like, and like definitely with like Dead Space 2, like there was like had such its own audience, but with Dead Space 3, there was a feeling it was trying to be everything to everyone, and it ended up pleasing no one.
yeah.
So and that was the last we ever saw of it,
And
which is a shame, really. And I do hope, in, like maybe somewhere down the line, there'll be like some kind of like soft reboot because that seems to happen every too often now.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing something in the news recently that somebody was like, "Yo, we need like." I want to say a developer. Somebody was saying that they wanted to make another Dead Space at some point
Mm,
recently. I cannot remember now that, but I feel like I've seen that recently
yeah.
somewhere. But
Think,
I'm not. I don't care for like I don't like or at least I didn't get on with the Dead Space games, but I still like I still understood what it was about, and I was fine with it because
yeah.
there's an audience for it,
Mm.
and that's
Anyways, sorry, you're going to say?
yeah, I was gonna say to Mass Effect.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah. Anyway, that leads us nicely into I'm like speaking of unexpected games making a return appearance. It's
Yeah.
Borderlands 3. Well, I say
Oh
unexpected.
God.
It's been
Oh
talked
yeah.
about for ages. Like we all knew it was coming, but yeah, it was a nice little like surprise announcement.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like I like I think we talked before, but I loved Borderlands 2. I also
Mm,
I think we both recently re-downloaded it,
yeah, yeah.
or at least and I have it sitting because I just got a hard drive, so I'm like, let me fill this up real quick. Oh, there's Borderlands. Let me play that again.
Mm,
And yeah, it's like like that whole presentation they have is that I guess, but because that was a bad presentation towards the end anyway.
mm,
But
yeah, I totally missed it. I just like saw the announcement video. I was like, "Yep, cool, that's me."
but like yeah, Borderlands 3. It's like it was I posted in the Chuffcast group. I think it's Jessica. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I can probably look it up real quick. But it was mentioned everything like what the game was going to be about, and
Mm,
it's fairly spot on. But uh outside of the story, but we haven't gotten the story yet. But either way, like I'm already interested because you have that one siren there with the like, well, I say 8 arms because 6 of them are her siren.
yes,
That as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's my character right there. I'm gonna play as. And
yeah,
Jessica had mentioned that was like there was gonna be and that was like melee mainly like brick and I love brick. even though he was the worst character in the game, because I just loved his special where I could just punch everything and then explosions happened with the punches.
Mm. What I really liked from that last trailer, especially, was that there were brief glimpses of sort of like different terrain, terrains or just areas basically. There was a nice flash of a city level, and I thought, okay, cool. There's going to be like a bit more variety in this. And that's something. Um,
Yeah,
that's something I always had a problem, especially with the first game, was that you sort of like traveling from one area of this planet to another, and there was nothing to sort of like different
there's no,
differentiate them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was all desert or abandoned, basically.
Mm,
First thing I can remember was like, oh, there was a city in the first game, and that was Old Haven, that was an
mm,
abandoned town. I remember that one, and New Haven, but New Haven was like similar to like Sanctuary and
yeah.
Borderlands 2. And Sanctuary didn't really have anything going on for it. I mean, outside it was just a normal central hub,
Mm,
but still. But yeah, I remember seeing like one of the things that stood out to me in that video as well was I want to say like the castle walls. That I want to say they were
mm.
castle walls, but it looked more like an Eastern setting kind of feel to it anyway.
Yeah, yeah, because obviously, like Borderlands was pretty much like a Wild West in space.
Yeah,
And yeah, and like there's like yeah, to be honest, there's only really sort of like so far you can take that aesthetic. So yeah, to sort of like mix it up a bit with like more locations based, more historical like influences, but from other parts of the world. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, just sort of mixed up. Is there anything in particular you're hoping for from Borderlands 3?
Just more variety, really. Like
Mm,
Borderlands 2 and even the pre-sequel, they were fine base game wise because it was just a basic shooter that
yeah.
and other I think I don't know if I don't remember pre-sequel having a double jump, but or it kind of did anyway with the oxygen.
Mm,
But I mean, I'm like I remember people were like, oh, we don't want the oxygen tank in the pre-sequel. It's like that's fine though. It added a layer because you had a level of urgency when you were like just wandering around on the ground trying to
mm.
fight them. But like I
Yeah,
don't know, like the base game itself is fine.
yeah, I'm like definitely thinking back to when to when I played a lot of like Borderlands. It was sort of like the prototype for I'm like the loot and shoot basically. You sort of like
Yeah,
you sort of like run around, shoot dudes, and and get upgrades. To shoot bigger dudes, and yeah. Now we're sort of like in an age where yeah, because we said before we started recording that like I think the last Borderlands game came out about 5 years ago, and since then we've had games like Destiny. Like we've got Anthem, we've got The Division, which is sort of like taken like the base game of Borderlands and and just made it more, more basically, turn it into sort of like like well, I don't want to say like an online RPG, and and Borderlands had that, except it had that. So I think for Borderlands 3, it's gonna have to start like looking at uh, 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 like at games like Division, Anthem, and Destiny. But the problem I see, a potential problem I see it having is that is that right now like Anthem's doing okay, and
yeah,
Destiny 2 is sort of like is doing pretty well. But that was after like a very rough like 6 months. And I don't doubt that like 6 months from now, Anthem is going to be a very different game.
yeah. But I think one of the problems that I was thinking about it for a bit, and one of the things
Mm,
that like stood out is that Borderlands is already established. When like Destiny came out, it wasn't. It had like
Mm,
you had to, especially considering the lore, you had to look up online and everything like that. But like, there was nothing interesting of Destiny that like it didn't like the story game presented wasn't interesting, or it didn't have its hooks yet. Like
mm,
and same thing with Anthem as well. And like Anthem, like unless you were like really wanted to get yourself invested, you couldn't really do much with it. And like even like when people played, I got played the demo and I was really excited, actually really interested in it, but I held off because like the story wasn't great to me.
mm.
But
Yeah.
but Anthem itself, like playing the game was fun. Only
Mm.
thing that stood out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like definitely with with Borderlands, yeah, like like there was the whole sort of like MacGuffin with like this, this like this giant this giant hidden vault, and it's and I think it was like very self aware and like how ridiculous that goal was. So
Yeah,
when essentially it was just basically like a setup to like like you're a cowboy in space, go and shoot everything you see and collect everything you see, you know
yeah,
um whereas like games like Anthem and Destiny that I'm like have this sort of like big mythical lore, and they both take themselves like way too seriously, especially and yeah, everything I saw of Anthem like leading up to its release, I was just like, I've seen this before. It just felt like this sort of like big patchwork of games like Halo, Destiny, obviously.
yeah.
Um, you know, of like big mystical, of like big mystical planet, and you're like an armored mercenary, I'm like exploring and shooting like natives. So yeah. I think what Borderlands has always had is like its sense of humor, and
And yeah,
yeah,
it it was very self-aware of what it do
it,
when it's like it found its feet and it was like, all right, let's roll with this, and it
mm,
went. Even though the game get back at it, it's very of its time.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I remember like the first game had a song by a band called Cage the Elephant, who were primed to be
Yeah.
who were primed to be like the next big thing, and then they weren't. So it's sort of like this weird. It's this it's this weird little like cultural artifact of its time now. But yeah. That's a weird example of like a video game sort of like outlasting.
Actually,
Um,
they're still around. Actually haven't. They had like 3 albums come out since that game came out, at least.
ah,
I actually
I,
have. I bought the first one I found at, I don't know, some a music store. I think that was closing down or going out of
mm,
business. But then I bought the other 2 online. The third one, like the second album, I think it was like a "Thank You, Happy Birthday" or something like that. It was some weird title like that. I
mm.
listened to that for a while, and they started to go through. I want to say like a psychedelic level. They stopped like it was like they had a southern rock feel in the first album, and then the second and third one they started going to like a trippy ish. I want
Oh
to
God,
say,
yeah.
but like
What they
I think
went a
they have.
bit Grateful Dead.
Yeah, would say probably more like I hate the Beatles kind of vibe to it. I want to say, but I'm just pulling shit out of my ass with that one. I could probably look, but either way, like yeah, like they're still around. They didn't gain the popularity that like that everybody's listening to it kind of thing. But they had, but then again, that's the majority of like most rock bands nowadays is that they popularity
Yeah,
that they want, but or
yeah,
that you think they want anyway. A lot of them are just fine just being able to like go around touring and just
yeah,
playing music without having to worry about everybody recognizing them so much
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. And also I think I might definitely like rocks in a strange place at the moment because like yeah, as a genre, it's it's always been sort of like rooted in the past.
Yeah.
Like all the new bands I listen to now, yeah, like I listen to because they sound like bands I was into 20 years ago. So yeah, um,
Uh,
yeah, I know, right?
No worry. I've been I can't say that. I can't say I was in the similar hooks. It's just I have this weird pet peeve where I can't listen to any band that was older than the year I was born. So it's pretty much anything after '86. I've been trying to listen to, and I did.
Mm,
I was like I don't know, like I think around that time that game Borderlands 1 came out, I started was going through a backlog of like bands from the '90s, like The Offspring and Green Day
mm,
and the like, and just trying to listen to like the stuff I probably would have listened to, but I was not aware of their existence then.
mm. Anyway, yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, like bringing the conversation back to video games. Like with Borderlands especially, like like we said this before we start recording, but like as much, and I've said this like on the group as well. That like as much as I love like the look and of Borderlands, its attitude and its characters especially,
Yeah.
like, uh, 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 like I never really felt that like it really I never really felt like it explored that that universe especially and yeah, like earlier on this week as well I downloaded Tales from the Borderlands, the Telltale's game,
Yeah.
which which was like yeah, I'm like definitely I'm like to my mind like the best sort of like representation of that universe because it was it was obviously like a lot more story focused and character driven, and and also it was funny. It was actually a funny.
Yeah.
It was actually a funny game. I'm like it wasn't something. It was something you could laugh with than rather than laugh at. You know, uh,
Yes.
and you can't really like that's always a tension, especially with first person shooters uh, like you can't there's not enough space to there's not enough space to do story outside of cutscenes, which it's been so long since I played it. I don't think the original Borderlands had right up until the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
it, you know, uh, anyway, yeah, this is like a roundabout way of like saying that that like Tales from Borderlands, I'm like because it was like a lot more story focused and lot more character driven.
Yeah.
But by its nature, obviously, like I always like felt that was the best exploration of that universe, and I think it's I'm like I think it's a crying shame like we'll never see a follow up.
No, and the process probably the closest we'll get cause it is going to be in three because you can
Mm,
see their Borderlands 3 like the trailer. I remember seeing, and I would never realize that, but I saw like Reese sit, sit in the scenes. He was I think
mm.
that was him. I had, but either way,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess for Borderlands 3, we shall wait and see.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, and also when saw like touch upon Stadia as well, because that was another big announcement.
yeah. Between
From a
that and
little
that, yeah,
yeah.
I'm I'm the kind of I'm gonna be the wait and see what they do because I don't know what they're gonna do. I,
Well, exactly. Well,
I
exactly. It's all like this weird unknown quantity. But yeah. Weirdly enough, I did actually work for a startup that was attempted to be like the first Netflix of games.
oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I'm like it's sort of like a dream that that everyone that people have been chasing since like on live really.
oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah, remember that, right? Um,
yeah.
and yeah, I remember playing like the first version of On Live many moons ago at a friend's place, and like back then it was like it was like it was like watching a really blocky YouTube video, and since then obviously like we've had PlayStation now, which I use every so often, and it works fine, especially for something like a single player game. Um, and anyway, definitely like a company with like Google's money. Like if anyone's going to be able to make a success of it, and then it's going to be Google. But for me, I'm like there's still a lot of question marks hanging over it. Um, for one thing, I'm like you've got the problem of lag
Yeah,
and
that
latency. That's something that's never really going to sort of like go away um, uh, because like uh, because like there's so many sort of like small barriers um, put between you pressing something on the controller and like the game responding and like delivering that back to you. There's like these all these tiny barriers. Obviously you've got like a like internet connection being the main one and the wireless controller being another as well. And then the game sort of like and then like the service having to sort of like get back to you and all that. So that's obviously a main problem. But but also like with the games that I'm sure that I expect are going to appear in it. Like big AAA open world stuff. Insert any Ubisoft game here, for
mm.
instance. It's going to be fine for those because they're not particularly I'm like reaction heavy really. But for anything, like say, Apex Legends, or even any fighting game, like you really do need that instant reaction.
Um, I was just doing a quick Wikipedia search. On Live went down in or and went defunct in 2015.
Wow, wow, it lasted that long. That was
It's been 4 years since it went down. It was bought up by Sony,
mm,
and that was a year after they started up their PS Now service. So I have a
mm,
feeling that since Sony bought them up, they probably utilized some of the tech that they did with On Live
yeah,
to
yeah.
include and to incorporate with PS Now.
Mm.
That was me going down a Wikipedia hole there.
But that just goes to show that they'll be trying to sort of like get this out there for a few years.
Yeah, same
And
with Microsoft as well.
mm, weirdly enough, I'm like, the startup I was working for was mostly funded by Microsoft. It was like every sort of thing, like they'll fund like several like startups that they think are going to be the future, and I'm like they gave us like a lot of like Microsoft development kits to work from. Um,
Yeah.
like I worked there, like just about a year and a half ago now, and like from the day I started to the day after, we're always on the verge of sort of like releasing the public beta, and it's been like a year and a half since I've left, and and it's still not happened. So, it got as far as like as a public showing last year at Play Expo, this like big retro gaming event,
Yeah.
um, and I'm like because the focus of it was all retro games, so so it will it wouldn't be as I don't know, I'm like trying to find a way to describe it. It wouldn't be as complex as like playing something like Assassin's Creed or whatever. But I'm like that's been on the verge of like coming out now for the last like 2 years. So if it happens or not, we shall see. But get back to Stadia. Yeah, Obviously, I think one of its biggest problems is it's always going to be limited by like what games are going to work on its
Yeah.
service.
That
Um, yeah,
that's one of my biggest concerns as well, and what games will be as well.
mm, for sure. For sure, and like another problem they've got, especially if they're just going to like concentrate on like big AAA launches, is that those big AAA launches sort of like rely heavily on like pre-orders, and like the mountains of special editions. So
Hmm.
like there still hasn't been like any sort of like word on subscription fees, but I think it's reasonable to say like somewhere in the ballpark of like of like say maybe £10 to £15 or pounds or dollars a month. So that's attractive, and the idea of like getting like a brand new AAA launch game for for $15,
Yeah.
especially when that pot of money is going to be split between like all the companies they've got on board as well. That's going to be a problem, and also and also like the kind of games that I want to like have on the service to make it attractive. It's very unlikely that they're going to like have like a big library of indie games on there as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah,
Which
that's like like I don't know, like for example, like me playing Dead Cells on something like that because I that's my biggest indie game I'm playing right now. I s-
mm,
like yeah, it'd be very interesting to see the direction, like what they can pull up, or if they're gonna try and pull see if like the developers that they currently have for like their mobile devices, like their mobile services rather, and Google Play, and
mm,
see if they can get some of them to say, hey, here's money, here, make a big budget game
yeah,
kind of thing, or at least a
yeah,
bigger budget.
yeah, yeah. But but like the thing with Google Play Store
Oh
especially
no, no,
is yeah.
don't do this to me.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Exactly. It's an absolute hot mess.
Right.
So obviously with like Stadia, it's going to be like it's going to be like curated in a way that like the Android stores never have been.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah, but at the end of the day, someone else like put it brilliantly when they said that like Stadia is the future of YouTube rather than the future of games. Um,
yeah,
because like the whole idea that like you could be watching a YouTube video and then like press start and like and like get let in the game is a fantastic one. Um, especially especially when it's like something when it's something that like many people can play at where there's I'm like when anyone can sort of like I'm like jump into a game at a certain point that's some real sort of like future shit going on there basically, but
yeah,
yeah, outside of that, especially for like for folks like us, um as well, I see you know I see it sort of like I'm like existing in tandem with the systems that we've got already, rather than like any of us like sort of like throwing our like like PS4s or Xboxes away. I just don't see that happening.
no,
And also yeah, yeah, and also because it's like entirely cloud like digital and cloud based. I- there's the issue of archiving as well. Because as we've seen on PlayStation, Xbox storefronts, that like games can be like taken away at, at any moment. Like I bought my PS4 specifically for PT because I knew it was going to be taken off the store in a week. like
Uh,
like that week, and
yeah,
I'm like that was something I really wanted. I really wanted to own as like Silent Hill fanatic, and I can't delete it. I'm like terrified of my PS4's hard drive crashing because it's a game you just can't get anymore.
yeah. I still have my old iPhone because
Wow.
it still has like it's like granted it's only iPhone 5, but
Hmm.
it still has a Flappy Bird on it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
like my new phone, it has like my new phone has the image for Flappy Bird, but because it hasn't been optimized basically for newer phones. I can't
Mm.
download it and play it. But the fact that I said I still haven't deleted off my new phone, it's still on my old phone. I could probably play it whenever I decide to charge it again. But like that's just it. Like I missed the boat with PT. I wanted to actually play it, and
Yeah.
I completely missed that boat. And I don't I like I've said I'm not big on horror, but at least just the concept or everything I saw about PT was like, this is actually really cool.
Mm.
I will make sure to, not to shit my pants so much, but I would really like to at least experience it, and that was mostly what it was, just to say you experienced it.
Mm. Yeah,
And
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like I remember when it was like first release, and everyone in the world was like streaming it and yeah, and like uploading YouTube videos, and like watching them. I was like, yeah, whatever. This doesn't look that scary. As soon as I picked up the pad myself, the, there was like such an oppressive, like doom-filled atmosphere to it. Yeah, that was legitimately like too terrified to move on, even though like I've seen, I'd seen like pretty much the worst it had to offer. At that point, it was just like it was just like the moment of like not knowing when that was going to happen to me. That was when it really that was that was that was when I realized that, oh my God, this was absolutely something I need to play for myself.
yeah, and unfortunately, unless you eBay it at this point,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to get it, or
It,
unless somebody's figured out a way to transfer it. I'm sure there's a way that you can literally transfer it over the computer.
mm, yeah, like I try because I got a big hard drive from from my
There we go.
PS4, and and I tried to sort of like see if I could like get the like PT files from it, but USB drive like isn't even recognized by my PC or Mac anymore. So it's like, okay, cool. I have to
Yeah,
pray that this thing never dies on me now.
yeah, that's the biggest challenge because I just formatted my hard drive. Oh no, there we go, there we go. Yeah, I just formatted my hard drive. I just bought the other day, so that way I can be able to basically like I said, download a bunch of games on it. Because every time I got a new game I want to try, I can't play it because my hard drive's full. So now I just bought 2 terabytes worth. But yeah, like I remember 360 and PS3, you were able to essentially like you can have an external hard drive and hook it up to
Mm,
your computer and take the save data off of it.
yeah.
And I used to do that bringing it back around to Borderlands. I used to modify my save data so that way I can get the best weapons. Because there was websites for
Naughty.
it. Uh,
Yeah.
it was after like the 100th hour of playing the game. I was like, all right, let me start exploring and start. Because I did all the DLC. I played the
Yeah.
entire game, and I was just like, let me see how like. I remember in Borderlands 1 there was a lot of like mods or like not mods but hacking. That was it.
Hmm.
There was a lot of hackers in the game, but at that point I was like, I already had my fun with the game. Now I'm just gonna explore it. Almost,
That's
almost,
cool.
almost, almost similar to how I speak.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So I don't doubt Stadia's going to do pretty well at the end of the day. I think um, I think it's going to like definitely reach a wider audience.
Yeah,
Um, than PlayStation Now or On Live ever did. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be like like the go-to choice for anyone who plays games um like uh, like more than casually. So I'm like, as with Borderlands 3, we shall wait and see.
yeah,
I think that's sort of like a good point to wrap this
yep.
up now.
That's
So
considering how long we recorded. We were supposed to only do a half hour. We did more than
yeah.
that, so that's fine. At this point, thank you all for listening. This has been the Chuffcast. Is there any way you want to like oh God, what was the word? Plug yourself. That's the word.
Yeah,
You want to?
I've got work appearing in Wireframe magazine every so often. So look out for that. It's even though like I write for it, it is actually a genuinely good magazine and
Yeah.
deserves to be supported. So yeah, check that out.
Me, I don't do anything in video game industry, so outside of we can follow you on Twitter, maybe.
On Twitter, I am Jake Laverde. That's JAKE_LAVERDE. I hardly ever tweet on that because it's all like my official one. But you can follow me if you want and like stare at my face if you
Yeah.
desire.
And yeah, if you I'm at Final Eve, FINALEV, and that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening. If you listen to this, if you didn't, well, then that's fine too.
All right. Thank you for listening. Good night, or whatever.
Good morning.
Chuffcast.